All right. Hello, everyone. So this is Hashed Out today. We have a guest, RJ DeLong, with us to talk about AI.
How's everyone doing? Good to be here. Thanks, Phil.
Thanks. It's the 18th of August. It's Friday. Nice to have you guys joining in. Usually it takes people a few minutes to actually jump on. So we can get started, actually. So since we're talking about AI, kind of let's find out first where you're from, where you are now, and kind of your story behind how you became interested in AI in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. So my name's RJ Long. I'm originally from Michigan. Right now, I'm broadcasting from Cambodia. I love to travel. I'm actually studying Angkor Wat for a little while, and Cambodia is a great place to do research. So I've been doing a lot of research on AI lately, as well as crypto, and seeing what's going on in the market in the last 24 hours has been kind of on my radar the last week or so. I was like, oh, it didn't take off like I thought it should, and I love to do some technical analysis and whatnot, but kind of came back down, and I was like, I think I turned bearish. And to see it kind of put in this dump last night was kind of like, all right, so I'm not always wrong. um, but yeah, how I came to be here and a little bit about my past and expertise. I have a degree in economics from the University of Michigan, and then I became a level two CFA as well as a level two CMT. Passed both of those level two exams a year, probably 5, 6 years ago, and then started my own crypto hedge fund 2 years ago. So I could tell you about some of the things that we did on blockchain. We were actually earning an income on chain, in addition to investing in the coins that went up in value. We were, making you could say like a dividend income or on-chain income from working with the protocols and doing the things that they wanted us to do to earn their coins. Um, and actually, in 2021, I earned over $1 million in 2021 just in airdrops alone from on-chain protocols alone. So we got into some things that worked really well. One of them was DYDX. We did a lot of trading on DYDX, high volume stuff. Traded over, I think it was 200 million in volume in a month. So we earned in DYDX about $400,000 just from trading volume, just from getting their rewards. When they launched their coin, it was like, I don't know, $15, $20. We sold a lot of it around 12. But yeah, we earned like, it was ridiculous. I couldn't believe how well it was working. So these are some of the strategies we want to put together for our investors, in addition to typical trading strategies with trend lines, resistance, support, and looking into also fundamental research. How much supply the coin has, what's the um, how does it come out, what's the supply, how does it change over time, and looking at also the demand side of different applications and dApps, looking at different blockchains and thinking about what demand will be for different blockchains. I believe, for the record, in a lot of different blockchains existing, and I see like a multi-chain future for sure. So, um, but a lot of good value out there. I did another informational podcast the other day for a group that I met through a Bali incubator that I was just in Bali 2 months ago, and they had me on as a crypto lecturer to kind of teach them a little bit about how to do crypto investing and how to get started with it, but also some of the yield farming and that sort of thing too. So yeah, I
Just
think that I
before we
think that covers
continue,
it.
hi Haftam2121 and Binance user F4E03 and the rest of you guys for jumping in. Nice to have you with us. And so how did that bring you to AI then? Like, what was the
Well,
kind of beginning of your interest in that?
ChatGPT. I mean, AI has been a term that's kind of just been lightly in the background, with different Instagram recommendations or Alexa or whatnot recommending certain things. We've talked about that probably everybody for the last 5 years, maybe longer. But when ChatGPT came out, was like, I think I saw the first thing that came across my radar was a Jordan Peterson clip on Instagram, and he said, if you don't know what ChatGPT is, you absolutely have to know what it is. And I didn't, and so I started to look into it. And then still, I was very busy in my life. I didn't get around really to learning how to do it, which is not complicated. You just make an account and start chatting, with it. It's pretty easy. But this incubator in Bali put 100 different AI applications and different specialties all across different use cases for media production, editing, graphics, a lot of things that I'm into as well, because I do have a YouTube channel and I do make videos. So very
So you're interested
fascinating
in
when
the
I started.
graphical side of it, the video AI and the graphic AI like apps out there. Do you use any of those for your content?
Yeah, I do. I just started messing with it. I made a book cover with it, for instance. It's pretty cool. And I'm using an editing service. I really like some of the text to speech applications. There's some really good voices that you can use now. And the content that you can make without putting your own face on YouTube is very good and very easy, very high quality. So, personally, as an economist, I'm thinking about all the barriers to entry that are broken down. And I think we're going to have like a whole new cottage industry, YouTubers out there that can really start to compete on the level with the really high production YouTube channels. As is already sometimes the case, but I think it just makes it a lot easier. People who don't have good setting or lighting or production, you can have ChatGPT generate tons of scripts for you. All this stuff is just it's very easy now. So I think that's pretty game
Have you
changer
seen
for
the
the.
singing
No.
covers of some traditional songs by like cartoon characters or sci-fi characters, like the B1 battle droids singing "Never Gonna Give You Up" and things like that?
I haven't. I
They,
just pretty
when
yeah.
when you
No.
get a chance, look that up. That is some of the funniest things I've seen online. But also, you'll have some singers that have passed away singing songs that came out much more recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's an
A lot of those
interesting
memes
use
are.
of yeah, that's an interesting use of the whole concept. It's a there's just a lot going on right now.
So much, it's that's why I really took like the last month to just go, okay, I'm gonna sideline everything else I had going, because I'm really like an inferior human being without knowing all these applications of AI that I can use. And being someone, that's what I'm hearing on all these podcasts and thought leaders are saying, that it's not going to be the AI takes us over necessarily, that, but I mean in a negative way, but it's really about the humans that can use AI and the humans that can't.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting thing, an interesting aspect moving forward. So what do you think about the impact of AI on like more practical uses like agriculture, industry, construction, logistics, kind of like our survival layer as a society? Like we need food and shelter.
Yeah, I'm not as familiar with AI in construction. I did see an interesting video on YouTube of completely robotic, say like basically taking the containers off of the cranes were all robotic. It put them on a little loader that then moved them around and put them into I don't know what, a truck, a large semi truck. And that was all automated. They weren't hiring any more crane operators. No humans were even allowed in the area. So that whole like from huge ship getting all those containers onto trains or onto trucks, that's all been well already. You're able to automate it. There's probably not every dock is like that, but there are docks that are like that at this point. Um, with construction, I didn't actually look into that. I wasn't able to like, get
Uh,
time to look at that one in particular, but
Maybe I can
um,
say something about that then, real quick, because
yeah.
I've seen some. They've made some apps with machine learning or artificial intelligence that allow the making the architecture itself for a construction project. It's quite interesting. And then on the agriculture side, I actually have a farm back in Ukraine. I wanted to turn into a research center for like using drones in agriculture and machine learning, but that'll have to wait until the current conflict is over, right?
Yeah. Now, agriculture, I did post some notes into this file. I made a large file for your show just to kind of like pull up some interesting facts for your viewers. So I'll kind of scroll through and find some of the stuff about agriculture. But um, yeah, I mean, one of the main things was that, and this theme goes across a lot of different industries where they can do auto sampling. They can go out with the drone and just sample and know when something has a certain chemical mix in the soil or when the crops are ready. So it starts to get like that's how the automation, and at least in that
That's
industry
already
would
pretty
be.
helpful.
Yeah. And I did.
Saves hiring a specialist and sending him out there and then sending it all to the lab and everything.
Yeah. It's just very scalable. I think that's the main thing with AI is that you have a digital zero marginal cost product essentially that once you tweak it and really train it to just be a little specific in your business, and it's so scalable. So I'll share, if you don't mind, I'll
Sure.
share one of the things, just
Let's take a look.
most interesting things I researched about AI in the last 48 hours was the OpenAI paper about its impact on the economy. So I'm just going to pull up a little. I'll share my screen. I'll pull up a couple clips of that paper. Let's see. Okay, I think that's ready. All right, there we go. The request is in.
All right, your screen's on.
Yeah, so this is the graphic here that I wanted to show you guys. So I'll explain this graphic a little bit. Basically, these two things are virtually the same thing. This one is exposed tasks, and this one is for employees. It doesn't say it like the right way, but I memorized it. So on the right is like by occupation. Oh, there it is on the left side, occupation, and this is employees. So, but they're basically the same curve. And what I did was I read through the paper and I found that really this gamma line, the triangles, which is the top part, is basically what ChatGPT 4 is. And they covered that up essentially in the paper. They really they made it about this median line, which is it's not really even applicable because ChatGPT 4 has this ability to create images and whatnot, and that this would be the displacement of occupations, on the labor force to being replaced by AI. So essentially, minimum, this is like how many occupations would have exposure at this percentage of tasks. So they were saying like a 50-50, this 40% of tasks, 40% of occupations have a 40% exposure rate. Means like 40% of our jobs out there, all the things in that one job, 40% of them could be replaced by AI. But in fact, really it's 60% at that level because ChatGPT 4 has this ability. And it's just huge. It's going to have a huge impact, much bigger than what OpenAI was wanting to show. But that is what their research showed, and I went through their whole paper about it. So yeah, that one was
After
probably the
reading it,
most
do you think
active.
they're underplaying it then? The effects?
I think, yeah, that's what their intention was by segmenting it into the alpha, beta, and gamma components to kind of look at their logic was something like, well, most LLMs don't have imaging. So in the past, this is what it has been. So that's kind of what we made, our study. But it says in the study, and I didn't highlight the right slide in my paper, but I underlined it, and it shows try to see if I can pull it up, but it shows that ChatGPT 4 actually has the gamma capability. So it was very misleading on purpose by them, I believe, to quote the middle tier, and you could see
So
why
they're
they would
trying
want
not
to
to
do it.
freak too many people out about it. Is that what you think?
Yeah, I mean, their technology is going to cause a huge labor crisis, probably bigger than we've ever seen in the entire world, and it's going to be worldwide. I mean, we're going to have a labor shock bigger than we've ever seen. Think about it. What else could cause such a big labor shock? I mean, I know that sounds like a drastic statement, but when you have a zero marginal cost technology that is wrapping around the world simultaneously, and we just saw their own study shows that about half of or more of all occupations are going to have like half of it eliminated by AI. It's an arms race to get your employees up to speed. It's an arms race to hire the right employees that already know it. They're going to be cannibalizing employees from different companies that do know it. But there's also some huge success stories. I mean, what I was surprised about was how much GDP is really going to grow based upon their increase in technology. I mean, that's kind of economics 101 too. We've learned, that there's two things that really increase GDP. One of them is technology, right? And that what makes us more efficient. So with this technology, we're going to increase GDP. But what does that really look like? And then how does it look in different industries? I found was like the most fascinating topic to really tackle. So that's what I did in that paper. we can get into different industries and whatnot, but essentially the basics are this. Like, you're going to have uh, a huge change in the digital economy. And what I found was, in their paper, they say the same thing: higher income people and more educated jobs are the ones that are going to be hit the hardest, because those are the people that are using language. Those are the people that are working digitally. Your typical workers that are doing skilled labor, your welders, your construction workers with a hammer, they're not going to get hit by this LLM, chat GTP element of AI. But that's one element of AI. AI is a broad category. One element
Right.
is LLMs and chat GPT. But I think that
Automation
chat
and
GPT
robotics
is,
is kind of the next phase of that. Yeah. So
yeah,
I
I mean,
was actually talking with a welder last night who was saying that he was in the UK specifically, and he was saying they don't have enough people going into training right now to fill the jobs they have. They can't get them out of school fast enough, and there aren't enough people interested in going into school to be welders. And
yeah.
I didn't ask him specifically about if he's worried AI will take his welding job, but he didn't seem worried about that. He seems to be very adamant that there are professions like welders specifically that don't have enough people working in that space.
In
Just
the
gonna
welding
say,
space.
yeah, yeah, and welding specifically, especially in the UK, probably other countries as well.
Yeah, and I think that would be cyclical, like it has been, and the economies of the labor market in that field would be typically what they've always been. I don't think that AI is going to change that. Like, that's what I'll share this screen again just to show you. These are the jobs that are the most likely to be impacted by AI, most and least likely to be impacted. You can see my screen now.
Yeah, I'll put it in. Hi, Minnow16 and Binance user C70A6. Nice to have you guys with us, and all 445 of you.
Are you able to see this screen?
Yep, the jobs most and least at risk of AI disruption.
Yeah. So we're talking about accountants and mathematicians, journalists, people that do writing, financial analysts. When I scrolled down, um, these are the demands, specialized skills: Python, computer science, SQL. Those are the people they're headhunting for right now. There is even, I don't know if I highlighted it in here, but see if I can find it, where there's an
Can you
article that
go
was,
back up to the beginning? Because I didn't have a chance to see it that much. I'm
yeah,
pretty
let me,
sure. Yeah, we'll have to go through this a little bit. It looks like there's a lot of information.
these are without any exposed tasks, occupations, and you can see they're, cement work,
Agricultural
masons.
equipment operators. So basically, people that fix machines, athletes in
Yeah,
sports. We're not going to have machines replace people for that. Whoa.
sorry,
You
dropped my
okay?
computer.
Your computer is already going on strike there.
Right. Computer freaked out at that one.
It's the Terminator outcome of this discussion.
Yeah.
So automotive glass installers and repairers, yeah, bus and truck mechanics, cement masons and concrete finishers, cooks, short order cutters and trimmers,
People
derrick
that are using their
operators, oil
hands,
and gas. Yeah,
right?
things
If
that
you're
you
using your
absolutely
hands,
have to.
you're not
Yeah,
you're not exposed to Chat GTP, right? Like, Chat
I love
GTP
how
is not a robot.
bartenders are safe. Like that's not something I ever really thought about, but like you can't have a machine kind of replace the human side of that.
This is also, I know it's real small. I can't zoom in, unfortunately, on my screen, but
So I can
this
read
is
building material and garden equipment and supplies dealers, motor vehicle and
now
parts dealers. So mostly salespeople and manufacturing for chemicals
this
and things like that.
this what screen here is the lowest exposure industries
Hmm.
to
Truck
Chat GPT.
transportation.
This is not AI in general. This is only LLMs or Chat GPT like.
Yeah, language
So
models. Okay,
yeah, and these are the highest exposed. I didn't. The lines go really far, so it cropped it a little bit more. But
that makes sense. Data processing, hosting, and related services, other information services, publishing industries, except internet. That's interesting. Insurance carriers and related activities, because that's something you can automate pretty easily. Credit intermediation and related activities. Securities, commodity contracts, and other financial investments and related activities. Professional, scientific, and technical services. I can't read that one. Is that lessers or lessons of non-financial
Lessors,
intangible assets?
yeah, it's financial stuff. It's stuff on the computer, right? It's
Yeah,
business stuff.
monetary authorities, central banks. So we could have central banks run by AI.
Yeah, in fact, we should. Just like, AI is going to be much better at trading than a human being is.
Well, we already have trading bots on a lot of decentralized exchanges and things like that running
Right,
quite often.
right.
And they just follow like algorithms and things like that. If they could change their algorithm in an intelligent way to meet a goal, that might be more efficient. I could see
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
So,
I can go back up too, but so we can go over some of this stuff. I read
oh yeah,
three different three different studies. I read the no, it's actually up here at the top. So these are some key facts that I had. I read this Accenture study, the PwC study, and the McKinsey study about AI and the impact by 2030. And so a lot of these screenshots are from either the OpenAI paper that we were just showing you, and then some of the other ones are from Accenture and the McKinsey study. Um,
no, that's fascinating. So like 13 trillion added to global GDP by 2030.
yes,
That's the
that's the
McKinsey
low end.
study's finding. That's the low end.
Yeah, the high end was 15.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay.
That was made. This study was in 2017, so it's not current. It may have gone bigger by now. I don't know, but these were probably the most reputable sources that I could find. McKinsey, PwC, and Accenture, and then the OpenAI papers. So that's what I based a lot of my screenshots on.
That's interesting. And
Yeah,
what do you think the first segment of the economy to change? That'll be like accounting and everything that's on IT related, basically.
I think it's media and production because that space is moving the fastest on Instagram and social media. People are figuring, like, it's guys like you and me that are on watching YouTube videos, figuring out how to use different AI applications, and then it proliferates out into the business sphere. How to do that, and so I think, yeah, it's going to be an influx of media generated content. It's going to come right away. It's already coming. If you scroll Instagram, you'll hear some voices that are AI bots, and they're very popular.
There are
If you listen to,
entire Instagram accounts that are artificial, like it's not a real person. They're completely invented. It's just
yeah,
crazy to me.
yeah, there's those too, and that's really cool too. That it's just people, can create art on another level, and a lot of times that art isn't a real person, right? It's just like people just want to see something beautiful, or they just want to see someone say something a certain way or a certain sound. So, uh,
Yeah, especially
no,
I'm seeing a lot of music stuff coming out too now.
yeah, you can generate music at that. How hard is it to generate music? And the fact that an AI can do that now, a lot of times for very low cost. A lot of these services that you even pay for to generate hours of content are $20 a month. So um,
Do you think prices will go up with demand because they still have to like have enough storage and everything for those?
no, I don't
Storage
think
has gotten
prices.
cheaper too. So
I don't think prices have a net positive impact. What we're talking about now. I'll stop sharing this because I'll use my hands to kind of show you what we're talking about
yeah,
is just general basic econ 101 supply curves, right? So I'm not sure which. So for you, because it's backwards on my screen, I'm moving my hand one way, but you're seeing it the other way. Like this would be the
yeah.
demand curve, or no, this would be the
Okay,
supply curve. It looks like I don't know,
okay,
but
okay. So
basically
supply
the
is that hand. I get it.
the one that shifts this way it and is going up.
Yeah.
It's so hard to do this, but basically supply is going to shift out. Okay, supply is definitely shifting out because AI content is being generated. A lot of stuff is being generated. We're going to generate way more supply than we ever generated in a lot of industries, and that means we're able to also implied in that is that the cost of production is going to drop. Um, so profits will go up because we're generating more, and the margins are going to be bigger, right? But that is if the price stays the same, but prices won't stay the same. It's going to fall a little bit over time because really demand is shifting now too. But what's driving demand? Advertising, marketing. It's tapping into specific demands that already exist, but we're not finding, right? Because AI is a little smarter and it generates better ads and it generates more targeted niches, it's
Have
going
you
to actually
seen
tap in.
some AI generated advertisements?
Yeah, it's hard not to, right? Like I think it's
Some
all
are
over.
just really scary. Like there was one for like a ketchup ad, just ketchup everywhere. It became a
Well,
really messy
you have a
thing.
lot more meme knowledge than I do. I haven't seen these memes. They gotta, yeah, too bad
Yeah,
we can't pull that up on the screen right now. I'd love to see that,
um,
but
yeah. That's it was actually kind of off-putting rather than like I didn't want to go out and get ketchup after that. I was kind of like, oh, that looks nasty. But
yeah,
like I've seen all kinds of different ways of doing it. Sometimes AI takes it a little too far. And we had AI at the beginning where it was adding a sixth finger to people when it was making people in art. And
yeah,
so
all
the
the
ones
time.
that do video do that all the time too. So you'd have people with six fingers trying like throwing ketchup at each other. It's so strange.
That's the low end, though. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
when you pay for the service, it generates it faster for you and it makes it higher quality. And but I mean, I just
yeah.
like
Of course.
generated a couple images with three legs on the figure or whatever as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
But yeah, I
common
think
one.
the basic economic theory is that if your demand pushes out further than your supply, then your price is going to go up, right? And but it also we need to know the slope of each of these curves. Like if we have an inelastic demand, that changes the result. If we have an inelastic demand or an inelastic supply, which means that it's
Yeah.
not price sensitive, right? If it's inelastic, it's not price sensitive at all. So it's what does the demand curve really look like? How is it shaped? Is it more flat, like a supply elastic demand curve, or is it straight up and down a supply inelastic demand curve?
I
And
think
that's
that
going to
depends on
change the
which
result.
specific market and which specific like
You got
AI
it.
tool, and so that's
Yep.
really hard to look at from a macro perspective, right? So, yeah,
Yeah, but from a general standpoint, you can kind of think most things are price elastic. I think that inelasticity is an exception to the rule. So um, my kind of bias is like we're going to have more supply than demand because we have this great technology that allows us to produce so much, and at the same time we're allowing like depends on what the companies use it for, right? If their marketing department grabs a hold of this thing and creates some really great ads and is able to do smart analysis on which campaigns are more effective, and I have some case
and
studies in my
keeps
notes about
improving all
that,
the time. Yeah,
it pushes the demand out, right? It's like kind of like it's working on the demand side of the company. So it's both, but yeah, I see this innovation as actually being able to drive down prices, especially in the longer run, right? It's like prices can go lower, so they will go lower with the competition. But
right.
I think overall, though, yeah, you're going to get a definite huge increase in GDP because of the cost savings, and that cost savings is labor, right? So you're going to have a little bit of people out of work or a lot of people out of work, as I said earlier. Depends on how educated they are and how much they use their writing skills essentially. Science. One that interesting thing though in the reports was that science and critical thinking and logical reasoning were three skills that really protect you from being at risk to ChatGPT because ChatGPT can pump out a lot of writing and content. It sounds good, but it can't really think critically that well. So it needs a human being to back it up and go, okay, we got all this stuff here, guys. Does this make sense? No, this doesn't make sense. This does make sense. At least that's the stage that we're in right now.
Yeah, with the 4 and 5 coming out next, and it being connected to the internet, if you in the paid version, all that is interesting too. It finds some strange things sometimes.
Yeah. I really like, I'll mention another application called Aria. It's on Opera browser, and I love that browser now. When I use Aria, it's really a nice AI bot, and I find that it's in some ways a lot better than ChatGPT. Actually, it gives me links I can just click right on them, and it does have live access to the internet, unlike ChatGPT 3.5. So, I mean, ChatGPT 4 does ChatGPT 4 have live access to the internet or no?
You have
Can't
to pay
remember.
for that.
You have to pay for it, but does it? If you pay for ChatGPT 4, do you get it or?
They did for a while. I'm not sure if they continued that or not.
Hmm.
Because
Uh,
I think they do fall into the category of companies that don't like it when you get certain results, even if they're
yeah,
true. Like they have
yeah,
certain I don't know, social justice standards or whatever.
yeah. But like Bard does at Google and also Aria on Opera browser, they have access live access to the internet, so they can give you what you want. Um, it's a scary world to think like honestly about some of the live access stuff, but hey, if it's out there, you might as well use it.
I think it's better to have live access to everything rather than to be closed up in only what people have allowed it to receive as far as information.
Yeah, I
I
can see the
find that
argument for
is
that.
more accurate as far as the information actually involved.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna have all this stuff on the internet up to 2021, you pretty much have all kinds of
Yeah,
bad things in there anyway. So yeah,
yeah, you can get anything, but they specifically fed certain information into ChatGPT on. I checked social studies because that was part of my studies back in the day, and I knew the research on specific questions, so I'd ask very specific questions because I knew the results of the research that had been done, and it was giving me opposite results, and I'm like, tell me who put this information into your system, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So this person is using their own personal bias to influence the results that people are getting when they ask questions, and
that is
so
a really interesting idea. Yeah. So say more about that if you don't mind.
So, I don't want to talk about the specific question because that's kind of anything in social studies can be divisive, even if the research is 100% one way or the other. Like the results, because people have their preconceived notions about things. But basically,
Yeah.
if you ask a question in ChatGPT, before it was connected to the internet, you would end up with specific results that were the results that they wanted to have on specific questions because of political correctness, basically. It's more
Okay.
mainstream. Even
Yeah.
if all the research in that specific area disagreed with the preconceived idea that they were pushing. But they were feeding information into this. And when I started testing that out, I was like, ooh, that's not good. And then I found that some people had managed to get ChatGPT to share information that wasn't politically correct by making it play the role of an AI that wasn't uh, following the rules,
Right.
basically.
Yeah.
and
Jailbreak.
and by giving it so how would an AI with this name that doesn't follow the rules answer this question? And so that
Right.
was the way around it,
It's like
through the
inside the
questions.
logic bubble of like.
And I've seen some very and the people that found this out were like hardcore political extremists, right? Because they wanted to find the results they wanted to find, right? So you end up with the same
Mm,
kind of problem as the people that put in the politically correct results into the system, where they want to find the results they want to find, not necessarily the results that are accurate. So you had both kind of groups finding ways to play with the system so that's I see that as a risk as long as people can choose the information that goes in. It kind of biases the information that comes out. So I'm worried about seeing kind of AI news related publications and things like that in the future, depending on what goes in. If it's unbiased going in, but then you have to trust somebody, right?
I mean, I don't trust the media now, so I think anything that comes on the media and from any source is biased. Unless
What I mean
you're
by
like
media
a.
is very general. It could be a YouTuber, it could be like an actual news
Yeah, I don't think
source.
every YouTuber is biased. I mean, we all have our own biases that we can't get rid of,
Yeah,
but
I
I
think
don't.
there's
I don't
something
feel like
natural
it's.
to that.
But it's not like it's not the same kind of bias that I'm talking about with like
Yeah, yeah.
CNN or a large media conglomerate. But
That's trying to
um,
push an agenda or something. Yeah, yeah, I see what you're saying. It
it was
has,
actually the subject of the paper I just wrote today. It was about seeking the truth and how we could have an AI bot that would help us decipher different people's debate arguments and say, oh, they use some logical fallacies here or there, and that bot could be programmed, it could be programmed to be biased as well, but it could be programmed to be
yeah.
unbiased. And
Oh,
so, like
we
for
see
the
that
first
with
time in.
human fact checkers a lot, anyways. So yeah, it might still be helpful in the sense that it keeps somebody from having to go through every single minute of a political debate, for example, and doing it all by hand.
Bingo. That's a big advantage to not have to listen to every single hour of C-SPAN. You know what I mean?
What was it? I think there was a guy on YouTube. If he did one more thing, he was going to get banned, and so he made like a 24-hour long video of nothingness, but somebody had to actually, like, just a black screen, no sound. Somebody
Mm.
actually had to sit there and watch the whole thing and make sure there wasn't anything wrong in it or something. That was his way of getting back at them for it. I don't remember if it was YouTube or someone else, but that's kind of a funny story where AI could actually fix the problem by checking the sound coming out and the video changes. I also know that we're using different things in AI for surveillance. For example, you have systems where you have surveillance cameras, and it can detect like the difference between a cat, a dog, a person, a car with a person in it, or a car that's empty. And then you
Yeah.
can go through the history of the video and request certain information like what show me where people usually walk along this path, for example, and it'll show you like a gradient on the screen. So that's
Oh wow.
fascinating. Yeah, it's come a long way. I think one of the things you had in your was like defense and aerospace.
Yeah.
I can see that being used for that kind of thing a lot, especially with like working groups of drones together. So
Yeah, I
that's
was looking
pretty.
for the stat I found about how many cameras they have in existence that are automated by AI, and I think it's 1 billion cameras worldwide right now.
Already.
Yeah, 1 billion cameras. Can you imagine like one camera
There's
for
probably
every
like
eight
store
people?
surveillance cameras and city cameras and things like that, right?
I mean, I don't know. It didn't go into detail in the slide, but I'm trying to find the slide, but I don't see it in my list, unfortunately. It may have been one that I just decided wasn't worthy of screenshotting, but yeah, I definitely saw it in one of those three reports. Crazy. 1 billion cameras already in existence worldwide that are automated by AI. Yeah.
The AI is taking over more and more jobs and sectors already and being used in many different ways. And it doesn't seem like governments are doing anything about it. Like there's no regulation or anything like that. You said something when we first started writing back and forth about like the Federal Reserve not taking AI into account.
Yeah, actually, I was looking at their most recent report about their projections for unemployment and interest rates and whatnot. And it was just such a sad report, honestly. Like looking at it as like an economist, it's just a bunch of people trying to peg the middle of what's believable. No one wants to look like an idiot or outlandish, and their job at the Fed is not to be a forward-thinking economist. It's just really,
Yeah,
here's
that's
where
the
we are
guys that win the
now. We
Nobel
want to
prizes, right? Not the guys that the central banks listen to.
no, but it's so disappointing. I mean, controlling the most important power in the world, like the power of the money supply, is what drives the market more than any other financial wave. I mean, if they raise rates, the markets go down every time. So, I mean, they're pulling these levers that control people's lives, impact people's livelihoods, their jobs, their 401ks, and you think that they would be someone would hold them accountable for knowing something about the technology that's coming out and the impact. And I mean, the writing is already on the wall. It's right there in OpenAI's paper. If you look, I'm not a master's level economist. It doesn't take very much to read that paper and understand that it's really that line that I showed you at the top. So, but they didn't forecast anything about unemployment that was out of normal. They forecasted to go back to the median of the range. I wish I had the screenshot to pull up right now.
Yeah, I saw it and I talked about it on my show. Yeah, because we go over every rate hike in the world, right? Because it affects trading in crypto as well as it does in um, you know
yeah.
traditional markets. So yeah, it's part of something we do here. So anybody who's jumping back on, who's been on here recently, like Angle Moha and Slimani user 60982, for example. Hi guys,
To be
probably
precise.
have heard of some of the things we've talked about as far as the rate hikes. We talked about Norway's rate hike just yesterday, for example.
Mm,
So right now that's the trend. They're either holding or raising the interest rates everywhere.
yeah.
It's pretty crazy. Do you think we'll have completely, we'll have like entire spheres of business where there won't be any humans involved anymore. Like we'll have completely automated hotels and completely automated farms and
Hotels will be a while. I mean, you really have to separate robotics and AI, right? But yeah,
right.
eventually. Like the robotics are necessary for the maids, but definitely yes, there will be some industries that'll be completely automated. Well, one of the first ones I thought was pretty cool it was years ago. It was like 2 or 3 years ago when I walked through San Francisco Airport. SFO was like they had a automated latte machine, like had a
Right.
robotic arm even. Like you could get any kind of latte, like in mocha, whatever. It did all of it right in front of you. It was like a fully automated barista called Cafe X. And
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's really cool. But that's not even that hard of a business operation. That's a pretty simple one. It makes sense they would do one of those first. But yeah, there'll be many. I think there'll be many
I
like
never
that.
even thought about it, but we have coffee machines and like snack machines everywhere that nobody has to go to except to take out the change, right? It's already been around even without artificial intelligence.
You
Just
could
using
probably see
mechanics.
like pizza, you know, it just slides
Yeah.
the pizza in the oven. It comes out the other side. It goes in the box. The
We
Amazon
actually have
robot picks
machines
it
in
up.
Europe that you can go and get a relatively fresh pizza out of a machine in the middle of nowhere. Like just drive up and then decide which pizza you want, and it bakes it, sends it out right there.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I think, well, the interesting ones are really the information businesses, though. Like that's the one that's going to be impacted first, right? Like the what's the financial advising? There's a few of them now. Like I can't think of the name of it, but um, where you get a robo advisor, right? Like that
Yeah,
industry will evolve. It'll become way more sophisticated. The advice that you're going to get from your robo advisor will be way more detailed. You'll be able to input all your financial data to that robo advisor, and it will not only give you what investments you should make right now, but it'll give you a whole financial plan that's really personalized to you. And it'll be a way better service than like anything any human being is going to do because it can research everything and it sees everything that's happening in the market. And it sees all the new technology coming out. Nothing will be overlooked. So that's like a lot of reasons why a lot of those fields at the top that were really heavily
right.
impacted were financial or digital,
Yeah, financial
numerical.
advice and
Yeah, my field,
accounting and all of those. Yeah.
my fields. I'm in trouble. I gotta learn this.
Oh, is that why you're here? Or you're trying to diversify a little bit?
Yeah, yeah,
So is that
yeah.
kind of what you found out after a month of diving into this? You're like, oh no.
Media production, finance, sales is probably a little bit more protected than the other ones. Although the early stages of the sales process are already getting hit
Like
hard with
lead generation and things
and
like that.
appointment
Yeah.
booking. The initial consultative phase, but the closing is an art form, and people don't want to deal with robots for closing. They don't want to deal with people for closing either. That's why we
Yeah,
have to have
yeah.
people for closing. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
know.
I
I've
think
done sales.
sales is a
It's and
little
some
easier
people
to
don't want to
protect.
do closing from the closer side of sales.
No, no,
It's a
you're
really
right.
delicate interhuman experience to actually get a sale through. Yeah.
But marketing and advertising is like completely dominated by AI. I mean, AI is far surpassed human knowledge at this point in marketing and advertising. The art of the branding, I think, is still human have a huge edge, but you're never going to outdo an AI in terms of like what campaigns going to do the best and design this campaign strategy and test it. Like
This
that's perfect for AI.
I was working on like a marketing email, like to reach out to people to offer marketing, not that long ago, and I was working with somebody else on it, and we were comparing our notes, and then we tried to run it through ChatGPT and AI in different forms, different language models, and the language models would always have. We could actually tell when it was one of us and when it was a language model most of the time. There were a few times where it was a little harder to tell, but there was a lack of kind of like even in writing there was a lack of like connectedness that we could sense. It was kind of weird, and in the end we went with like a human written text for that because there was just something that didn't feel right about reading it. And so, like, we'd send each other a whole bunch, like 4 or 5 different ones. Some would be written by us, some would be written by AI. And then
Hmm.
be like, oh, what's your favorite one in these 5 or whatever? And it was interesting. Oftentimes it came back. We preferred the human kind of touch to it. It's very strange.
It's very
Very
interesting
hard
though
to.
that you can pick
It's
up on that, or that there was something magnetic about that human
Yeah, it's
position
really
on it.
interesting, and it's really hard to quantify.
Yeah.
You'd
Well,
have
you have more
to
experience in
have.
that than I do. I mean, I've talked with ChatGPT, but other than that, I think I also know that you can train it to be more human-like, and you can feed it more, training data, your own writing, and then it will start to write more like you. And so I also think that that will probably get impossible. Like in one more year, that's going to be impossible to tell the difference between.
I wonder if there are people cheating on writing books right now using ChatGPT to write entire chapters
Oh
of
yeah,
their
100%.
like
There's apps for that already. So yeah,
sci-fi and stuff. Yeah, yeah. Uh, I
100%.
don't even know if I'd want to go through the like time it takes to read a book if the book wasn't written taking time to write. You know what I mean? Like if a machine can
Yeah,
write a book in like an hour and then it takes me a year and a half to read the book, it's
yeah.
something doesn't feel right about that. I kind
Again,
of
it's
like
going to
the idea
be.
that it takes a bit of
Yeah, I mean,
pain
your
to write a
art
book.
forms are. I think your art forms are
Yeah,
preserved, right? Like your um, really great books, right? Your classic books, your Dostoevsky's. You're not going to get that out of the AI yet, but if you
yeah.
want to, hey, how to use
Actually, that's funny
AI
that you
book,
mentioned that.
how to use AI for dummies book, yeah, boom, it's done.
I had AI write a poem in the style of Pushkin in Russian, and then I read it to my wife and said that's not Pushkin. Like immediately, just
Okay,
to
she
see.
knows.
Yeah, yeah. So that was pretty funny because like she's Russian speaking and grew up around Pushkin and all these different
Yeah.
Russian authors like every day in regular life. So immediately she's like, "Nah, that's not something he would have written. That doesn't make any sense." It was really funny. Something about the
Yeah.
moon.
Oh man,
So I've experimented with the poetry side of it a little bit, just to see if people would catch on. But
it
with
is
the
fun though.
images, yeah, it is fun to kind of test things. One thing I found fascinating is taking the style of somebody who's no longer alive and applying that to something that didn't exist when they were alive. So, for example, in
Mm.
paintings, there's a an artist from the Netherlands way back in the day in like the 1600s who would do these amazing paintings of ships. And so I took that and I had um, uh, an AI that makes like art images and that sort of thing apply his style to like World War II ships and modern ships to see what it would look
Oh,
like,
cool.
aircraft carriers and things like that. And some of them came out really, really nice.
Yeah, no, that is a really cool application. Or like you could even do it for like UFOs or airplanes or whatever. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. You can take the style of somebody way back in the day. You could even do like you could do like science fiction art based on, for example, the way they used to do hieroglyphs or the paintings and the pyramids and that sort of thing. And it just looks very, very weird. But I'm sure
yeah,
you could also trick people with that into believing some crazy
no, the
things.
tricks that are going to be done in the next 5 years is just
Like I see
mind
a lot of,
blowing.
since we're both Americans. Here's one thing I heard recently is that they're worried that the next election is going to be influenced a lot with false images and false videos and things because of AI in the
Yeah,
upcoming U.S. election. More so than in other elections because it's more. I mean, we already saw everything with the Cambridge Analytica system where they were using Facebook to get people's kind of trends and what kind of interests different age groups had, et cetera, to target marketing better. Or, I guess in this case, political propaganda would be the, the right term. But now it looks like they're going to be using a lot of different forms of AI art and things like that. I saw a lot of people get fooled by the Pope wearing Balenciaga thing. I don't know if you saw that one.
no,
There's
I'm
an
really
image
niched in my
basically
research.
that that's something that might not come out. That's more like it's not even in my generation. It's like the younger generation were joking about that. So now, if you look on YouTube and you look up AI Balenciaga, you'll find a lot of different famous people wearing Balenciaga, but it's fake. It's like all AI, and they even have like videos
Oh,
like NATO supports Balenciaga as the next member, and like just weird things like
oh,
that.
these memes, man. Yeah, all
It's
you need
there's
is
a
a
lot
good
of that.
meme, and you're taken care of.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a whole thing like that. But some people were like, "Why is the Pope wearing Balenciaga? This isn't. He's not supposed to be wearing this." Like they fell for it, you know.
Oh, how
And so
funny.
I could see worse situations where people are being incriminated in
Yeah.
even in court for things they never did because someone in AI was playing around and made it look like they killed somebody or something else, right? So that's one of the risks right now.
Yeah, I'm not that like immediately in my gut is telling me that's nothing to be worried about because you're gonna have an AI app that's gonna detect it, and they're also going to be aware that it could be AI, so they're going to have to go through a stringent process before they validate that it's a real video, which they can do. There are ways to validate that. Deep fakes can be, when you analyze them, there's ways to tell, right? I don't know what they
Right.
are, but
Yeah. To a certain degree at least. Right now that's our only like hope. But then there's still going to be people that don't believe the analysis, and that takes time. And if you have
yeah,
36 hours, for example, where there's this fake story going out, how many people are going to believe it before it gets
that's
disproven?
true.
And how many people are going to say that disproval is fake? Or you
Yeah, and
have
that
flat earthers all the time, right?
it's so funny that we're talking about this because this is exactly what I was writing about this morning. What I put into my video today is, we're really moving towards a nihilistic worldview. I mean, there are so many people that can say, I don't know what to believe, so I'm not going to believe anything. I'm not going to believe that video or this video. I don't know what to do, so I'm not going to do anything. And
Mm.
that's a very sad
That
state of affairs. I think the world is being
that's the
all nihilistic.
that's actually the goal of certain forms of like mind control propaganda is to make people not care anymore and no longer try to have an
Yeah.
opinion or understand what the truth is because well it's too complicated for you to understand and there's no point in you wasting your little life's time on this kind of thing. That's like the main
Yeah.
thing in the background, and I've met people
Don't
that are like
mind the
that.
man behind the curtain, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's exactly
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the Instagram channel Truth Punch is it talks a lot about yeah, what's the guy's name? I'm blanking on his name, but he wrote "Behold a Pale Horse," which is, that book is just blew my mind when I read it. Um, it's truth underscore punch. It clips a lot of his stuff, but it's also just like the Roman circus, like the things that we have in today's modern
Oh
world, the
yeah,
sports,
keeping people busy
all that
and
stuff, just keeping people
is it William
entertained.
Cooper? Is that what you're talking
William
about?
Cooper, yeah, that guy's book was like the most intense propaganda revealing. I mean, he's a total conspiracy theorist if there ever was one. But like, I'll tell you, if you read that book, he cites a lot of documents and facts. He has legal codes in there. He has all kinds of stuff you can find. So I didn't have time to look up any of his stuff, but I mean, it was an interesting listen for sure. I listened to it on Audible. Yeah.
And I've seen recently. I realized that some people have used the like strange beliefs of others to kind of scam them to get their own way. There was a guy who used the flat earthers to raise funds to build a rocket to go into space by himself. And he originally tried to raise funds without talking to them, like just on his own, which kind of proves that he didn't actually believe in the whole flat Earth thing. And then he was like, "Oh, I believe in flat Earth, and to prove it, I'm going to build a rocket and all this stuff." And then he made enough money to actually build a rocket. Sadly, he killed
What?
himself with it, but
What?
like it would
What
have
was
been
this guy's
funny.
name? Do you remember?
I don't remember, but I actually saw the live stream of like the
Oh
guys
man.
talking about him preparing the rocket to go like for his launch, but the parachute didn't open, so he just crashed to his death. It's very like, but the video would have proven that flat Earth wasn't real, right? So
Or so we think.
from the cockpit or so,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I'm not a flat earther,
No,
but
I
I do
just think it's
appreciate
funny
the.
that he used that whole like community to raise funds for his thing, just because he wanted to build a rocket in his backyard.
Yeah, that's pretty hilarious, I must admit.
This but we see this kind of like we're both in crypto, right? And we see these like crazy rug pull things, like
Hmm.
the names of some of these like meme coins or shit coins or whatever you want to call them are kind of like state the like it's like I don't know, they're gonna call it like rug pull meme coin or something. I hope that's not already taken and I'm not accidentally like defaming anyone. You know what I mean? but it's like why would you put money into that when you see the name and you understand like the whole point, right?
Yeah, it's a good question.
We
I
see a
don't
lot
have
of
an answer.
these, and then people get burnt, and it's like, of course you get burnt. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
so it's interesting. We're gonna have a lot of we already get hit by a lot of information now. So basically, what we're looking at with AI is even more information made faster, cheaper, and better quality.
Yeah, but it's also anything you want. I mean, with information, it's going to be anything you want. Like, it's going to be able to sift information. It's going to deliver information, categorize information. You know, like it's actually a solution to the information overload, I think, in a lot of ways.
Mm.
I mean, it can
Uh,
not only deliver it to you in the form that you want, in the order that you want, prioritize it for you so that you can digest it and ingest it and digest it, but it's also going to be able to then reprint it and reproduce it for you if you want to share it with other people, if you want to make a book out of it or make it into a video. You know, the streamline production from of information is just, I mean, it's actually very fascinating what I believe is going to happen with media. Like I said, I think that's one of the coolest industries for this.
and one of the things I wanted to ask was, do you see AI being used as kind of like a top level decision making executive in
Yeah,
business, militaries, government, the Federal Reserve? You already talked about. You said that could be
yeah. I mean,
something.
things that are strategic in nature, things that require the digesting and applying critical thinking, but taking a lot of
Analyzing
information
a
in
lot
and
of
then,
data quickly.
yeah, I mean, chess, like AI chess is like so far beyond human chess at this point now. And I mean, I think military strategy is just a big chess game and a more complex rules and it's a more, yeah, it's a more complex game, but it's the same thing. It's a chess game, right? And so is business strategy. It's similar. Like you're looking at what risks should we take? How do we evaluate these risks? Should we go into this area or that area? Um, and AI is going to be a better decision
How
maker
to
than.
allocate funds. And it'd also be completely heartless, right? So
I
I
don't
could
think
see a lot of people getting fired and stuff.
it's how you design it. I mean, it won't
Right.
necessarily be fully heartless. It'll take on the core values that you want it to take on that you train it on, and then it will filter its decisions through those too if you so desire. So yeah, it's technically heartless, but you know,
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean, and you understood what I meant too, which makes it really interesting. So you could have, like, say we have two or three countries run by different AIs completely. We could have one AI that's extremely like more like social leaning, one that's more like liberal economics, like the free market system, and kind of laissez-faire, and even maybe even libertarian and like social issues. And then you could have one that's somewhere in between. Like this is completely already in the realm of possibility, isn't it? Like we
I
can
think
make games with this
it's
kind of
like
thing.
guaranteed. It's just guaranteed. In my mind, there's no other option. Like it's going to happen. The only thing I would say about that is that it's always going to be humans that are reading, unless we let it get out of control. But like willingly, we wouldn't really turn over the reins to that decision making process. Um, like from a government standpoint, like I don't think we're gonna have an
Yeah,
AI president. You know what I mean? But like we're gonna have a bunch of
that would be
robo
kind of funny.
advisors, AI advisors to those presidents, and they're gonna favor certain ones with certain,
It's funny you
libertarian
said
leanings.
that. It reminded me there was a guy in a Darth Vader costume running for election in Ukraine a few elections back at one point because they didn't have rules where you had to like show your identity or whatever to start the
Uh,
system. Or they've changed since, but in that situation, if somebody could play like a role or have like a robot moving around, there is some countries that have laws that aren't clear enough, maybe, where you could actually have an AI run for election.
Man, that would be interesting. I wonder if it would win too. Like, how many people would really support that idea? Will you see like a migration to like, some island somewhere where they want to create
Hmm.
their Shangri-La and have it run by AI and enough people get behind that they actually do it? And would it work? It's like,
Would it work, or would everybody die following like blindly?
I really think
I have so many
like,
questions, right?
I really think it's based upon the programmers. It's like, well, with certain conditions that you program in and how you train it, it would work. And with other trainings and different conditions and values that you put in it, it definitely won't work. So, it's what's the name of the Monte Carlo analysis, right? Of like all the different things that can come out of that,
Yeah.
some kind of statistical probability analysis. So, but I feel like someone's gonna try it at some point. It's gotta be tried.
Yeah, I'll have like a small community somewhere, try it out and start that way. Kind of
But
like the
production and like supply chain and production, all that stuff, I think is definitely going to be heavily like listened to. The AI is going to be heavily listened to, is the way I would put it. You know what I mean?
yeah, as a kind of like the analyst for the decision maker, basically.
Like the
So,
CEO, how dare you contradict the AI? You're fired if you contradict the AI. Yeah, it's going to be like that.
how dare you contradict the
It's going to be like the CEO is going to turn into like the king or queen of England. It's going to be like a figurehead. Like we need one, but like they don't really do
They
much
don't
except
really make
rally the troops.
decisions. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're just there to make speeches with a human voice without any like a
AI
recognizable
generated speeches.
face. Oh my gosh, that'd be very strange for a company to be run that way.
But
It's
why
almost
would you
like a
not? Why would you have a human being write your whole speech when that human being could use AI to write your speech and go over and edit it? And like, yeah, it's like it's gonna touch everything.
What do you think of? Well, I know you looked into like crypto and stuff. What do you think of DAOs, like decentralized?
I love them. I love DAOs. They're really exciting, and I'm part of a couple. I wrote some code for my own, not code. I would say I revised that statement. I wrote an algorithm for my own DAO. I didn't put it in Python code, but I wrote it as normal language, if
Yeah, I
then
understand what you're
statements and
saying.
whatnot.
Like
Um,
the theory for it. Do
I
you
love them.
see like AI and DAOs working together somehow? That would be interesting.
I think it's a great question. Let me think about that for a second.
I haven't thought about this until now.
Yeah, I think you could have an all AI DAO in a way, but also you could have different AI advisors for different DAO groups. Subgroups of a DAO could use this AI to make their decisions and do the things that at a company. But you could also just have, hey, let's have 20 different AI robots that we design and program and train different ways with different strengths and weaknesses, and let them talk and let them make decisions and see what comes out. I think you'll always probably have a human cap filter on the end result of like, here's what the 20 AI bots came out with. The human looks at it and goes, yes, no, I'm gonna change a little bit. Because I just think we're too afraid to really turn total control over, at least
I
right
think
now
that
in
makes
this
sense.
sector.
What you're describing reminds me of the old Civilization 2 game where you had these
Sid
advisors that would
Meier's,
yell at
baby.
each other. Yeah, Sid Meier's Civilization 2. Do you
I love
remember
that
that?
game. Yeah, I used
You'd
to
have the
spend hours
advisors
on it.
yelling at each other, like the military guy, no, we must build more warriors, and the culture ones being like, oh, we need to build our culture and make our cities flourish and everything, and they'd like yell at each other. I could
Yeah,
totally see like a board meeting with all these like AI advisors. It's like a
yeah.
consulting meeting on what to do and like to avoid bankruptcy for a company or something, or that could be
I,
fascinating.
I
Even as a
honestly, I
product, that could be
foresee
something
like
interesting to make.
I foresee a future where there's a leader that is really afraid to let the people below them or the public know how much they're clicking just yes to anything that an AI recommends. Because they've gotten to the point where they believe it so much that it's always right, and it is really like hard to contradict them, but they don't want other people to know that because it would put them out of work, would make them look kind of like, they lose a lot of credibility. So I
Well,
feel like
yeah,
that's gonna,
that would be interesting if you had watchdogs for elections saying this candidate follows the AI 80% of the time, and this candidate follows it 50% of the time. If you vote for this candidate, you're more of a rogue. If you vote for this
yeah,
candidate, you're voting for conformity. Like that kind of trend. That'd
man,
be.
so many novels we could write out of these ideas. I feel like these things are definitely going to come up. Like this
I
is
feel
going
like
to
we're
be,
in a new phase where we could write things like when they saw communism coming and taking over certain countries, they wrote like 1984 and Animal Farm and these books. We're at a
Hmm.
stage where people could start writing books about like how AI could influence governance. Like it's a
100%.
new phase. It's using technology to kind of try to outwit the different human ideologies we've used to govern countries so far.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's going to happen. It's going to be a subset of literature, I feel like, but it's still like, it's a very cool idea.
Like the dystopian and utopian styles applied to AI.
Yeah.
I bet you could get AI to write it too.
Oh, you will. Like, it would just be stupid not to. Like, I'm telling you, like, it's going to be so good and so far reaching. You're going to have 100 pages on your desk overnight. And it's like, why would I not click that button? Like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's something pretty easy. Like if you have enough imagination and you input that into the process, it could be really interesting. Yeah.
I feel like a really good analogy is the way that chess evolved, and Gary Kasparov and his comments on, how to use chess bots. And one thing he said in one of his interviews, I'm a big chess guy, and so I've listened to a lot of Gary Kasparov. He is actually politically active and very interesting person to listen to too about different topics. But one thing he said was it's kind of like, what the best combination is human with the AI. It's like the AI just it's just brute force. It goes over all these things and try to channels all these lines of code, and it's kind of like best when the human's like, no, actually look here, like look here and tell me what you find, and then the AI produces way better results. And that's why I feel like the AI, AlphaGo and Deep Blue and these AIs that came out actually ended up beating him. Was that, yeah, it took a few iterations of those programmers to kind of, they had to learn enough chess themselves, and they had to learn enough themes, and then when they could, instead of using total brute force, they could direct it. It's super powerful. But when you combine live interaction with Gary Kasparov and a chess bot at the chessboard together, like, dang, like that would be an amazing tag team match to see. Like Gary Kasparov and Stockfish 17 or whatever face off against Magnus Carlsen and a different chess bot. Like that would be cool. But that's what it's going to be like with all these other AI bots and all these other AI innovations in different industries. You're always going to have a really great human, I feel like, behind them, piloting them in a sense.
Yeah, because the input is as important as the output, right? And your output is completely based on the input.
Yeah, the questions you ask, right?
Yeah, the questions you ask and then the information you let it use to answer the question, because you can completely limit what it has access to as well. If it's only on a personal computer, for example, it doesn't have nearly as much access as it would if it's on the internet. And even then, there are entire parts of the internet that could be cut off from the rest. I know the entire Russian system, for example, is built to be separated from the rest of the world's internet. At any
Mm-hmm.
given time, they can just cut off the connection, just sever it. And I see like China doing like having a setup that's similar with the Great Chinese Firewall, where you're not allowed access to a lot of things too. So if AIs end up with the same kind of access issues that people do, we could end up having the same AI that starts in two different places having completely different outcomes because of the data they have access to.
Yeah, it's the geopolitical situation between Russia, China, and the U.S. slash Euro bloc, and what's going to happen, um, and the technological barriers that we can either put up or tear down, especially with AI, robotics, and quantum computing, which all coming together at the same time, is scary. It's very
Well,
scary.
we're seeing a trade war between the U.S. and China, for example, on chips and semiconductors and all that. And the U.S. joined with Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, the Netherlands, like all the other like top semiconductor producers, and China making like low end stuff. And
Hmm.
then you have things that aren't supposed to make it to Russia, for example, because of sanctions, but are going through third countries and making it there anyways. And China is using cloud computing to have access to AI chips anyways, even though they weren't allowed to buy them. So
I love how you have the
that's been
knowledge
bad
around
too.
like the Russia and the current events
Oh,
over there.
I
And
cover this part every day as well in the show, so that's something I see a lot. Also, I'm um, have a lot to do, like a lot of connections in the Ukraine, Russia, Belarus area because that's where I worked in IT, and so I was working with 400 different companies there for a while. So like the so many contacts all over the place and from that region, and mostly like developers. So people that are very like knowledgeable about what's being done in that sense, like how the censorship works and that sort of thing too. It's kind of an
that's
unusual
fascinating.
set of information.
No, it's a fortunate, position that you to be in to be able to learn and stay abreast of those types of things. Yeah. There's so much good content out there right now about all that conflict and the trade wars and everything. I wish I had more time to just watch all of it and listen to it all.
I
It's
wonder if
cool.
you can get an AI to give you a synopsis or
Yeah, it's like how do I find that AI and how do I train it and how long will that
yeah.
take? And yeah,
Another thing you can do that's quite I find it quite good is like for information on general news. Ground.news are pretty good at finding like they'll take one event and all the sources covering that event and say if they're left, center, right, their level of general like factual, whether they're more or less factual, like they're more emotional about what they write or not. And then you can go through and just look at how every different media covered the same event is quite fascinating, especially if it's something where you'll have like very staunch like pro and con sides of something. For example, like something happening in a war, you'll have the guys that were attacked being very like vehemently on one way, like none of our troops got hurt, everything is fine, and then the guys that attacked saying we destroyed 1,000
wow,
guys. You know what I mean?
wow, how
And then
fascinating
you'll
is
have
that?
third country observers saying things like, well, there were this many hurt and this many hurt, and so you'll have like all the in between based on how good their intelligence is or which side they're on, and it's just fascinating to see that kind of thing. But it takes time to look into it, so I could see
Yeah,
use
no,
for
that's a
AI to go
great
through the
tip.
news.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that link. I'm gonna
Yeah,
check that
Ground.news
out.
is really good for checking out different things like that.
Cool.
That way you can check both sides of every story. It's extremely helpful in countries where you have media that are very staunchly biased to one side and very staunchly biased to the other. Nobody like kind of just telling the facts as they are and letting you make your own opinion. It's more
Yeah,
and more rare.
what countries are those? I don't know.
Well, I know for a fact France is one of those because I was in media in France. I actually worked for a newspaper for a while, and I had to teach them about the situation of the city that they were supposedly writing political articles about because they lived on the opposite side of the river, which is a completely different administrative region from where they were supposed to be knowledgeable and specialists in. And so they had no idea that we had the highest crime rate per capita and the highest poverty rate per capita and the highest unemployment rate per capita in the entire country. They didn't know this, and they were the political journalists for my city.
Wow, wow, that's amazing.
They were like, "Oh, crime is worse in Corsica." So like, I took the crime results of my city, and put them next to the crime results of all of Corsica together combined over the
Mhm.
last like 10 years, and I showed them, and they're like, "Wow, that's crazy." I'm like, "Yeah, you guys don't know what you're talking about."
Wow, and that's their profession. That's their
So ever since then, I've understood that there are different kinds of journalists. There are people that don't take their job seriously at all, don't care,
Mhm.
and they'll just print whatever the editor tells them to write. Like, oh, write an article saying this, and they'll just write that. So I've seen that in specifically in more political, like local politics, national politics stuff.
Yeah, I
It's
think the
crazy.
reputation score, um, in whatever way we apply that, and there'll be different reputation scores. There'll be industry specific, or
Right.
even organization specific. You'll probably start getting these scores that you'll be having a meritocracy to earn, and it might seem a little scary. Your brain might be flashing like the Chinese social credit score, but it doesn't need to be like that. But it could be.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Um,
We
but
could
I feel like
have,
that
for
that could
example,
be a good
on
thing too.
yeah, for that's for media, but we could have the same thing for products like
for anything, for anything.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, anyone that's in a certain role of influence probably will get some kind of reputation score about what they say and how they say it, and by some AI bot that some people listen to, and other people don't even know about. But like it'll probably happen where you get an
And other
AI.
people make their own bot to compete with it because they disagree with everything it says.
Yep, you'll
we,
get
we
you'll get
see
like
that with the
like
fact checkers.
yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, but overall, I still feel like it's going to be a good thing. That element. I don't know. AI getting out of control was something I was kind of worried about, but
Yeah, the whole
nothing we're going to be
Terminator.
able to do anything about from like a consumer level. I mean, it's not like the more I use Chat GPT, the more it's going to get out of control. It's like
It's
it's going
something
to
like
be
regulators and like the people that actually implement AI into different industries are going to have to look at, right? Because if, for
yeah,
example, if you integrate, there's the whole drone idea of like tank-like drones and airplane-like fighter jet-like drones that actually have the capability to kill people and blow up buildings and that sort of thing. If you put them completely under the control of an AI, that poses a few more moral dilemmas than just using ChatGPT to write a book, for example.
yeah. Those are the things I'm thinking that are. It's going to be hard to resist automating, and I feel like they won't resist it. It'll happen, and it could go out of control. But it's I think it's the biggest risks are in the military, and then in the supply line production businesses that like you're talking about. It's they can shut if they can shut it down, or if they can sabotage it, then there's always a risk that they might. Um, or some group will get a hold of it and kind of take it prisoner, kidnap it, kind of thing. Like, I have control of your AI, so I'm gonna sabotage it through your AI. Like, that's gonna happen for sure.
Kidnapped AI. That's funny.
Kidnapped. I have your. He's under my arm. I sent a ransom note. Yeah. These are the things that I'm worried about. I'm actually like in a
I
lot of the
don't know
thought
who
leaders that
you
said
are.
that.
You know, like the whole like taken spiel, but instead of a kid, it's an AI.
You have a good mind for like making things into jokes. Yeah, I feel like there will be spoofs and movies about like these types of
Oh my
things that
gosh.
are gonna
Well, and
Family
they'll
Guy
be made with
episodes are
AI as
flashing through
well.
my mind. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
and there's a whole generation. Like I'm guessing you're closer to my generation than like the guys that are between like 18 and 20 right now. They're like they'll take anything and turn it into a meme. So
these are the things I don't follow, but I'm
I'm
happy
curious
that
to see
they
what they do
exist.
with AI and if it actually has an impact on real life somehow by accident.
Yeah. It's a fascinating world. My top advice would be for people to just learn how to interact with ChatGPT at first. That'll crack open a whole new world for you, and don't be afraid of it. Like, get around to using it, and try to lean on it as much as you can. Because if you don't, I honestly think there's going to be a huge divide in our society, and just like crypto, the people that don't have the no coiners. Like, I was trying to make videos for all those people, so they didn't get left behind too. And I think these are both AI and crypto, two huge technologies that everybody has to learn. It doesn't matter how old you are. You're 70 years old, you have to learn them. It's not too late. How you set up your trust, how you design your will, and how you put your investments in. Inflation is coming. Massive, massive inflation is coming. So yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot for your time. Uh, we're at 2,000 views at the moment, so like just so
Right.
you know. So thank you everyone for watching. I'll let you talk to the chat a bit about that. As for having them with us, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Thank you guys for joining. I appreciate your listening, and I hope you found it fascinating. And thanks for having me on, Phil. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think depending on what happens with AI in the near future, maybe we'll do this again sometime. Might have more things to talk about because it's expanding very quickly, and I know a lot of VCs are investing heavily into AI projects as well. So it's just expanding so fast. We might have some completely different conversations in the future.
Yeah, it'll be fascinating to see what happens.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm going to talk about the crypto news for today, and then
Yeah.
I'll probably be on another hour just doing that.
All right.
Thank you
Well,
for joining.
yeah,
It was awesome.
absolutely. I'm honored, and talk to you soon. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye. All right. Let's look at the news. Let's see, what do we have going on? I found that fascinating. What do you guys think? Hi, Goals, Binance user E88A4, Arshoria, the Zionite, Binance user DB846, C41EE, Sergov KC, Soam 2005, Payment Proof 41008, IMJKM. Nice to have you guys with us. Thanks for your comments. Hi, Chami93, Arshoria. It's really fascinating to get to talk about AI like that. Feel free to share this with your friends, this conversation. Also, start conversations of your own on AI. That's something that could disrupt the economy quite heavily. And let's jump into the news. Hi, Goebbels. Thanks. All right. Let's see. What do we have here? Probably have more articles since the last time I looked, and we do. Great. More news to cover. More things to look at. All right. I'm going to throw this in here so you guys can follow along. Feel free to like and subscribe as well so you can get notifications of when we go live again. I've been talking about having an interview on this show for quite some time, so I'm glad we finally did it. All right, let's check the news, see what's going on. Make myself smaller over here. Okay, so what did we look at yesterday? Say token price declines 33% after. We didn't look at that yesterday, that's new. All right, let's take a look at that. Hi, Binance user 544-6C. We don't do gifts on this show, but thanks for asking. It's nice to have some interaction. So, Say token's price dropped 32.59% to $0.182 after airdrop claims, following a 2,000% surge with the mainnet launch. The price drop led to speculation about Say's stability, with trading now at a market capitalization of $322 million. Despite the decline, Say's mission and unique features suggest potential price stability, with anticipation around SushiSwap's network debut. Interesting. So that's, yeah, here's the table we've had so far over the last few days. We'll look into that a little bit more later. BlockFi resumes withdrawals for eligible U.S. users amid bankruptcy proceedings. That's good news for U.S. users. BlockFi opened withdrawals for eligible U.S. clients on August the 17th, 2023 amid bankruptcy proceedings. Eligibility was restricted to specific U.S. account holders, with some facing issues. International clients remain ineligible. So we'll see if that opens up to international clients in the near future. Hopefully it does. We shall see. All right, let's go back to this. Let's see. China's state banks shift selling dollars for yuan abroad. In the cutthroat arena of global currencies, China is making a power move. The nation's predominant state-owned banks have been actively offloading US dollars, opting instead for their own currency, the yuan. This isn't just a domestic play either. They're trading in both onshore and offshore spot foreign exchange markets. The reason? To put the brakes on the accelerating depreciation of the yuan. So the economy is collapsing in China pretty much. They're trying to stop it by keeping their currency strong. That's what's going on there. Makes sense. Coinbase to halt USDT trading for Canadian users. Here's what you need to know. Yeah, USDT won't be allowed in Canada. Coinbase has recently announced its decision to suspend trading of certain stablecoins for Canadian users starting from August the 31st. Despite the suspension of trading, Canadian users will still retain the ability to deposit and withdraw these stablecoins even after the specified deadline. They just won't be able to trade them. Okay. It's important to note that despite the suspension of trading, Canadian users will still retain the ability to deposit and withdraw. Let's see. One salient requirement of this undertaking involves prohibiting crypto asset trading platforms from facilitating the purchase or deposit of value referenced crypto assets, commonly known as stablecoins, through crypto contracts without obtaining prior written consent from the CSA. The CSA's regulatory stance seems to align with its emphasis on consumer protection and the maintenance of market integrity. So on February the 22nd, the Canadian Securities Administrators published a notice that mandates registered or pending crypto exchanges to enter into legally binding undertakings with the regulatory body. So earlier this year, Crypto.com opted to delist USDT for Canadian users as well. So Coinbase Canada hasn't been registered in Canada yet completely. It's not finalized, but they will, and therefore they're pulling USDT off. I do work on a project in Canada, and I know we're not allowed to use USDT, so we're looking at using USDC in that project. Another Chinese $100 million crypto scam revealed. Again? A sixth Chinese national has been apprehended in Sydney, Australia, as part of an ongoing investigation into a sprawling cryptocurrency scam with ties to the United States. It is claimed that the suspect employed a combination of traditional bank accounts and cryptocurrency wallets to facilitate the movement of illicit funds, aiming to launder the proceeds of the cryptocurrency scam. $100 million from unsuspecting American victims. Through a convoluted scheme involving manipulation of cryptocurrency and forex exchanges. So a bunch of Chinese nationals were stealing money from Americans and managed to siphon off $100 million. Interesting. So as part of an ongoing investigation into a sprawling cryptocurrency scam with ties to the United States, the initial tip-off to Australian authorities came from the U.S. Secret Service in August of the preceding year, highlighting the connections between the crypto scam and Australia. The U.S. Secret Service doesn't usually cover these kinds of scams, so that's fascinating. So we'll see what happens with this, but there's something very deep going on with that scam. If it was the FBI, I wouldn't have been surprised, but the Secret Services usually don't get involved with financial scams that much. SHIB down, Shibarium's woes explained what's happening. Yeah, we were looking at this and we were wondering. SHIB tokens dropped 9% after Shibarium Network's launch. Transactions stalled for hours, causing concern. Users couldn't discuss issues on Discord, leading to more alarm. Shibarium was meant to elevate SHIB beyond its meme coin status. The Shiba Inu ecosystem was buzzing with anticipation as the Shibarium network launched, but instead of a triumphant entry, SHIB tokens nosedived by around 9%, catching many investors off guard. I remember we were looking at this yesterday and we were very confused on the show as to why SHIB was following the same trends as all the other cryptocurrencies and tokens out there. So the Shibarium hiccup. Excitement turned to confusion for many SHIB enthusiasts when reports emerged of transactional stalling on the Shibarium network just hours after its live debut. With a whopping 954 Ether and a significant portion of Bone tokens, Shibarium's governance token held up alarm bells started ringing, and when attempts to bridge tokens to the much anticipated Shibarium network proved futile, a cloud of uncertainty began to form. But the drama didn't end there. The community's attempts to discuss these anomalies hit a wall when they found themselves barred from the primary communication channels on Discord. Now, this doesn't necessarily spell doom. Bridging tools, which are essential for transferring tokens across networks, have always been a vulnerable component of the cryptocurrency landscape. But for a launch as hyped as Shibarium's, such glitches are less than ideal. For those out of the loop, Shibarium isn't just a novelty project. It represents SHIB's aspiration to shed its meme coin image, born in August 2020 and emerge as a formidable blockchain entity. Envisioned as a hub for financial services and gaming, the network's intent was clear: to attract users with the promise of low fees and a thriving ecosystem. Hi, Binance user 9CF06, El Papu Santi 23, Binance user 319-1F, and Rana Usman 321. Nice to have you guys with us. The community's trust is in the balance, yet as the community grappled with the initial glitches, token values reflected the unease. Beyond SHIB's 9% dip, Bone and Leash suffered even steeper declines of 13% and 25% respectively. Such fluctuations following a network launch are not unprecedented, but they do signify the community's shaken sentiment. An internal discussion among Shibarium developers hinted at an inability to reclaim assets previously bridged to the network. And while blockchain experts could not immediately confirm these speculations, they were quick to highlight that key network components were non-operational, leaving many to wonder about the health and stability of the nascent Shibarium. As whispers of locked funds grew louder, SHIB's lead developer, Satoshi Kusama, stepped in to dispel the swirling rumors. In a stern response to the community's concerns, Kusama reassured investors that their funds were secure. He attributed the delays to an overwhelming influx of transactions, which the network wasn't prepared to handle. To put it in perspective, the traffic surge was beyond anything they had anticipated. While the SHIB community had set its sights on a substantial appreciation of its key tokens following the Shibarium network's launch, reality has served up a mixed bag. Glitches, rumors, and the resulting price fluctuations have stirred a cauldron of doubt. However, it's crucial to remember that the road to innovation is seldom smooth. And while the Shibarium launch has hit some bumps, the SHIB community's resilience and the developers' commitment could yet steer the ship to calmer waters. That's interesting. That explains a lot of why the token was down, even though it had just launched with so much hype. Hi, Thanuja 19, Kako 11, Eric Kianer. Nice to have you guys with us. FTX and Genesis reached settlement for $175 million to Alameda, down from $4 billion. So FTX and Genesis have reached an agreement to resolve allegations linked to the continuing insolvencies of both firms. Genesis has committed to paying $175 million to Alameda Research, FTX's trading division, as part of the settlement. Additionally, Genesis has agreed to relinquish any claims it might have had against the assets of FTX. Let's see how much that helps with the financial issues for the users involved. Doubts grow on necessity of Fed's rate increases. Eyes are on the Federal Reserve as speculation intensifies over its interest rate decisions. Recent indicators from the July meeting insinuate that although the battle against inflation is far from over, there's an emerging skepticism surrounding the urgency for continual rate hikes. Fed officials, while unanimous in backing a modest rate increase, signaled they might be reaching the twilight of this monumental rate hiking phase. But there's a catch. Concerns abound about the potential repercussions of over-tightening the monetary policy. Essentially, they're caught in a high-wire act of moderating the economy without pushing it over the edge. We'll see what happens. Why is the crypto market down today? The August 2023 heat. The crypto market tanked as the benchmark U.S. Treasury yield rose to its highest level in nearly 2 years. The yields increased the day after the minutes from the Federal Open Market Committee's July meeting reiterated hawkishness. Ripple leads in market decline with the possibility that the SEC appeal could get a green light. Kevin O'Leary suggests that the Fed could continue to raise interest rates because of increased inflation in America. Rising U.S. bond yields are likely to blame for today's downward price trend in the crypto market. Specifically, today's crypto market is declining as the benchmark U.S. Treasury yield rose to its highest level in nearly 2 years. According to CoinGecko, the current market cap of all cryptocurrencies combined is $1.16 trillion, a change of minus 3.4% over the past 24 hours and minus 0.7% over the past year. That's crazy. Bitcoin's market cap currently stands at $544 billion, representing a 47.06% market share. Since mid-July, the crypto market has been in a decline, coinciding with gains in the US dollar index during the same period. In addition, its decline coincides with the growth of US bond yields. The yield on the benchmark 10-year US Treasury note rose to 4.31% on August the 17th, the highest level since October 2022. This suggests that investors prefer yield-free cryptos like Bitcoin to secure assets. The yields increased the day after the minutes from the Federal Open Market Committee's July meeting reiterated hawkishness. Notably, the majority of Fed officials believe that inflation could remain elevated without further interest rate increases, increasing expectations for a September rate hike. Historically, expectations of higher interest rates have been adverse for cryptocurrency markets, which likely explains the market's decline on August the 17th. Okay, that makes sense. BRICS Sherpa, US dollar is still key global currency. The upcoming BRICS summit in Johannesburg will focus on increasing trade using their national currencies, not replacing the US dollar. The dollar remains a dominant global currency and BRICS recognizes its prominence. The summit will also discuss potential expansion by inducting more countries into BRICS. While China is keen on rapid expansion, India and Brazil are more cautious. What's fascinating to me is a month and a half ago, BRICS were like, we're going to create our own BRICS currency and it's going to take over the world and replace the dollar. Then they were saying about 2 weeks later, we're not going to make our own currency, we're just going to make our own national currencies, replace the dollar and work together. And then it was, we're just going to trade with our national currencies and we're not going to replace the dollar. And now it's, we're not going to try to, and all of these were supposed to be backed by gold, right? We're not going to back anything by gold. It's going to stay backed to the US dollar. And we're not going to compete with the US dollar. It took 2 months to go through all of these phases. It's fascinating. Oh my gosh. Federal Reserve takes enforcement action against FTX-linked Farmington State Bank over stablecoin dealings. What's going on here? Farmington has ties to the crypto industry, including an investment from Alameda and a partnership to issue a U.S. stablecoin. The bank consented to the Federal Reserve order with a related transaction expected to close by August 31st, 2023. So the Federal Reserve has announced an enforcement action against Farmington State Bank, alleging that it improperly changed its business plan without informing the Fed. The action centers around Farmington's involvement in designing IT infrastructure to facilitate the issuance of stablecoins. Okay. The bank was to receive 50% of mint and burn fees on certain stablecoins. That's crazy. Farmington violated its commitments by engaging in a memorandum of understanding to work with a third party to design IT infrastructure for the issuance of stablecoins. It's not going to tell us what the third party is, I'm guessing. Farmington State Bank's involvement in the crypto world is not new. In March 2022, the bank adopted the moniker Moonstone Bank, followed by an $11.5 million investment from Alameda. The bank has direct ties to notable figures in the crypto industry such as SBF and Jean-Jacques Pierre Chalopin, the principal shareholder of FBH Corporation, the owner of Farmington. In January, Farmington announced that it would be discontinuing its pursuit of an innovation-driven business model, reflecting the impact of recent events in the crypto assets industry and the changing regulatory environment. Farmington's decision to discontinue its innovation-driven business model came after it had committed to both work with and help design IT infrastructure to facilitate the issuance of stablecoins. So there's some weird shenanigans going on with this bank. Let's see. Putin talks around BRICS entry in call with Iranian leaders. So the president of Russia discussed Iran's potential inclusion in the BRICS alliance during a call with Iranian leader Ibrahim Raisi. The BRICS group, comprising Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, is considering expanding its membership. The call also highlighted the commitment to enhance bilateral ties between Russia and Iran in areas like trade, energy, and logistics. Okay. MasterCard launches CBDC partner program in partnership with leading blockchain firms to foster the implementation of digital currencies. MasterCard launched a CBDC partner program with blockchain leaders to innovate in digital currencies. CBDCs are digital fiat currencies backed by governments, with 93% of central banks exploring them. The program aims to understand and implement CBDCs safely, signaling a growing interest in digital currencies. Central bank digital currencies. Unpacking SpaceX Bitcoin 2021-2022 sales worth $373 million. Elon Musk disclosed SpaceX's Bitcoin holdings in 2021 following an SEC filing revealing Tesla's intention to acquire $1.5 billion worth of the crypto. Crypto scams with detailed attention to SpaceX and Elon Musk surge, flooding the crypto markets. Be wary. Elon Musk takes a keen look at Vitalik Buterin's detailed tech report on community notes. Buterin endorsed X's community notes feature, emphasizing its relevance and relationship to crypto values. Fascinating. So in 2021, SpaceX CEO Elon Musk announced publicly that the company had acquired a particular amount of Bitcoin. This following a filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission revealing Tesla, another company co-founded by Musk, intended to acquire $1.5 billion worth of the crypto asset. The announcement likely contributed to the price of Bitcoin surpassing $43,000 at the time. According to Tesla's second quarter of 2023 earnings report, the company had sold its remaining Bitcoin holdings worth $184 million. Tesla reported that it had sold more than 30,000 Bitcoin for $936 million in the second quarter of 2022, representing approximately 75% of its original holdings of 1.5 billion Bitcoin. So that's Tesla. Musk, one of the world's richest people, has frequently taken to social media to make comments on cryptocurrencies such as Dogecoin and Bitcoin, even changing Twitter's then blue logo to the Doge Shiba Inu for a brief time. Since his $44 billion acquisition of Twitter, later renamed X, in October 2022, is implied that the platform could provide the entire financial world, including banking and payment services. Uncertainty surrounds the timetable of SpaceX's rumored Bitcoin sale, but the crypto market experienced a significant crash in 2022 due to the failure of major firms such as Terraform Labs. Several technology companies and financial institutions possess Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. There are a lot of scams featuring Elon Musk and SpaceX, so beware of those. Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla and proprietor of X, made an intriguing reference to Vitalik Buterin, co-founder of Ethereum, in a recent tweet. In response to Vitalik Buterin's recent commentary on community notes, Elon Musk praised Buterin's insightful analysis of the subject. Buterin endorsed X's community notes feature in an extensive blog post published today, emphasizing its relevance and relationship to crypto values. Community Notes, a fact-checking utility that occasionally inserts context notes, may be the closest thing to an implementation of crypto values in the mainstream world, according to the creator of ETH. This attracted Elon Musk's attention. As usual, the crypto community responded to Musk's remark by tagging the ETH creator. An individual on Twitter interpreted this to mean that Musk is optimistic about ETH. It has nothing to do with ETH. So community notes are these little things when somebody writes something on X and they misconstrue something or they're not being completely honest about it. The note, basically the community says this isn't true or this is false, and they fix it. Like, they give context so that the people aren't led astray into insane ideas, potentially insane actions based on what the person wrote on X. Bad news for Ripple as judge grants SEC request to file a motion. We'll see how that goes. What motion? The SEC can now file a motion against Ripple Labs, ruling by August the 18th, while Ripple Labs has until September 1st to submit its counter-arguments. Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson have vehemently opposed the appeal, as it would suffer the crypto community setbacks. XRP's price tanks as uncertainty creeps back into the crypto community over SEC's hand on decentralized finance entities. The group behind the Tornado Cash lawsuit loses to the U.S. Treasury. A lot of court cases. A lawsuit against the U.S. Treasury by 6 individuals backed by Coinbase goes south in a mega loss. Judge Robert Pittman states that Tornado Cash is a legal entity that has a property interest in its smart contracts. The judge rejected the Treasury Department's claim that Tornado Cash is not an entity, saying that the Mixers DAO was designated. Last year, OFAC sanctioned Tornado Cash for assisting North Korea's Lazarus Group launder crypto cash from decentralized exchanges in games like Axie, such as Axie Infinity. Coinbase Chief Legal Officer Paul Grewal says that the company will support an appeal. We'll see how that goes. Hello, bear market. Bitcoin price falls below 26,000 for the first time in 2 months. 5 things you need to know about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. What? Why is this in here? Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 is the latest chapter in the legendary first-person shooter series. Modern Warfare 3 will feature a new campaign, updated maps from Modern Warfare 2 in 2009, and the largest zombies map to date. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 will be released on Windows PCs via Battle.net and Steam, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series X and S, and Xbox One on November 10th, 2023. Modern Warfare 3's new Zombies mode will feature missions within the player versus environment framework. It will also provide the option to team up with other online squads to combat the zombie invaders. And why are we talking about this? Oh, it continues the timeline of the previous game. Interesting. So wait. Is this something to do with AI? Tax stance, a new movement mechanism tailored for battle and tight room conditions, will be included in Modern Warfare 3. Players will also have greater health bars than in prior COD titles, which will boost foes' time to kill rate. Activision claims that a vast amount of Modern Warfare 2 content from last year's game has been rolled over and will be available in Modern Warfare 3. The new game will also include updated versions of all 16 multiplayer runs. Huh. So, open world, player versus environment architecture. I wasn't expecting this in today's news, but that's interesting for the gamers out there. Hi, Kevher 79, Chinooka 1, Y2Y2, nice to have you guys with us. Crypto industry shaken as UK dives into new regulations by September. We're back into crypto. Crypto businesses operating within the UK are mandated to adhere to the guidelines laid out by the Financial Action Task Force, or FATF. Specifically, its anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing regulations, collectively referred to as the Travel Rule. The FATF established the Travel Rule in 2012 for traditional financial institutions and extended it to VASPs in 2019. However, its implementation progress has been limited, with only 11 out of 98 surveyed countries enforcing the rule by 2022. The introduction of new marketing standards by the Financial Conduct Authority is set to come into force in October, as further increase the compliance burden on crypto businesses. So we'll see how that goes. We've seen a lot of companies kind of shy away from going into the UK if they were going to now, and waiting until this is all implemented before they do that. Here are 5 reasons Bitcoin dropped. SpaceX isn't to blame for this crypto bloodbath. So as reported by Cryptopolitan, Bitcoin fell sharply in the last 12 hours, ushering in what could be the start of a bear market. According to market charts from TradingView, Bitcoin sits at $26,500. According to CoinGecko, the global crypto market cap sits at $1.11 trillion, minus 5.76% change in the last 24 hours. I'm on a 4.96% down change from 1 year ago. Oh man, we'll look at this in a second, but whales are selling big. Chinese yuan remains a risk to crypto. The risk of Chinese yuan devaluation, according to crypto market analysts, may have played a significant role in the sell-off. The greatest macroeconomic risk is a potential devaluation of the Chinese yuan, which is trading at its weakest level since 2007. During the 2 weeks following the final devaluation of the yuan by China in August 2015, Bitcoin prices dropped by minus 23%. Prior to the commencement of a more significant rally, Bitcoin ended the year plus 59% above its devaluation level. Some blame SpaceX because they sold some Bitcoin, but that'd be like a whale selling Bitcoin. That fits the first thing. Crypto analysts argue SpaceX is not to blame. Fascinating. There's a lot going on. The world's economy isn't exactly stable right now. Hi, Sevdagul Tunser. What? Thanks for all the necklaces, I guess. Hello, Binance user Bab08. Hi, Vaclav Marek. Hello, JS Robin. Cardano's founder response to doubts emphasizes Hydra and Mithril advances. All right. Charles Hoskinson responds to recent criticisms defending Cardano's progress. Criticisms questioned Hydra's viability, but Hoskinson counters it as potential for specific applications and expresses faith in input endorsers. Hoskinson dismisses bias accusations and emphasizes tangible progress in Cardano's development. We'll see how that goes. OpenSea's royalty enforcement tool operator filter to be turned off. OpenSea, a prominent non-fungible token marketplace, is discontinuing its operator filter, an on-chain royalty enforcement tool that enabled creators to blacklist NFT platforms that didn't enforce royalty payments. OpenSea faced resistance from creators who perceived the operator filter as infringing upon their control over the platforms on which their collections were sold. Collections utilizing the tool, as well as existing collections on non-Ethereum blockchains, will enforce the creators' chosen fees until February 29th, 2024. So let's read what they had to say. This is OpenSea. We launched our operator filter so creators could restrict secondary sales to Web3 marketplaces that enforce creator fees. But we relied on opt-in by the entire ecosystem, which didn't happen. So we're making a few changes to our approach to creator fees. Starting August the 31st, we'll sunset the OpenSea operator filter, move to optional creator fees on all secondary sales for new collections, improve visibility of creator fee settings and listings on buyer and seller side. Wait. So are they saying that people won't have to pay creator fees? Because you set the royalty for a collection generally when you create it, also potentially when you set it up on a marketplace. Those are two different ways. You can have it directly in the smart contract of the NFT, or you can have it on the platform itself. So here's a reaction by a guy named Rocket AGC. OpenSea is caving into pressure from its competitors to kill royalties. As members of NFT communities, the best way to impact this royalty problem and support your project is to only use platforms that will support your communities and honor their royalties. Actually, I'm going to go read this at the end. Stop supporting platforms that don't return the love for your community. OpenSea appears to be perfectly happy letting your project starve to death. Crazy, that's a lot. All right. There's a lot going on right now. At my house too, I think if you guys can hear my kid yelling in the background, don't worry, she's fine. My wife and my kid are playing in the back. Binance shifts strategy, NBS tokens to convert to USDT, delisting effect continues. So Binance is converting new BitShares NBS tokens to US dollars, a significant shift from its original course. After delisting several tokens in 2022, Binance had a withdrawal phase until January 2023 for users affected. Binance will pause NBS deposits and withdrawals after September 9th, 2023, except for withdrawals initiated before that date, so that are kind of like ongoing. The SEC on the verge of approving Ether futures ETFs. We've seen this a few days in a row so far, and we aren't sure if that's actually going to happen yet, but it could. Australia's Helio lending faces major penalty for deceit. What did they say? Helio Lending, a cryptocurrency lending firm based in Australia, has been sentenced to a 1-year non-conviction good behavior bond for making false claims regarding its possession of a local credit license. Australian Securities and Investments Commission indicated that the company had falsely asserted its possession of an Australian credit license. The ASIC initiated legal proceedings against the firm in April 2022. So the company would be required to pay a fine of $9,600, equivalent to 15,000 Australian dollars if the bond is breached. So they got a slap on the wrist, basically, for now. If they're careful, they'll be all right. Hi, Y2Y2 and Vaziamol20. Nice to have you with us. And Chinese yuan is weakening against the US dollar amid declining exports. Yes. Everything's already in there. We could look at the amount of exports that are going down, but it's continuous. It's being lower and lower like every day right now. Cipher Protocol successfully freezes $600,000 in stolen cryptocurrency funds on central exchange. Cipher Protocol froze $600,000 in stolen cryptocurrency after a security breach on August the 7th, where $1 million in assets were drained. The team partnered with investigators and offered a 10% bounty to the hackers, but did not recover the funds. A redemption plan was introduced to support affected users. Nice. The Solana-based decentralized futures exchange managed to freeze the stolen funds with the help of independent blockchain investigators. The attacker had exploited code vulnerabilities using multiple accounts to drain an estimated $1 million in various crypto assets. On August 10th, the team made contact with the hacker after offering a 10% white hat bounty. 2 days later, the protocol announced that the hacker had missed the deadline to return the funds and opened the bounty to the public. They also hinted at knowing the partial identity of the exploiter. On August 16th, Cipher announced a redemption plan and socialized losses policy to distribute remaining assets to affected users. A redemption package with protocol assets would be distributed pro rata based on user share. Sounds like they have a plan. We'll see. OpenChat explored reimagining messaging on the ICP blockchain. So that's the Internet Computer. There's their logo. In an era dominated by centralized communication platforms, decentralized alternatives shift how we connect and interact. Among these disruptors is OpenChat DApp, an application reimagining messaging within the context of blockchain technology. As the digital landscape evolves and users seek more control over their data and interactions, OpenChat offers a unique proposition, a fully featured chat application that operates entirely on the Internet Computer Protocol blockchain. OpenChat DApp is a fully featured open source chat platform comparable to familiar names like WhatsApp, Signal, and Telegram. However, what sets OpenChat apart is its foundation on the Internet Computer blockchain, offering a range of benefits that extend beyond traditional messaging applications. At the core of OpenChat's architecture are canister smart contracts, the fundamental building blocks of applications on the Internet Computer. These canisters encapsulate code and data, enabling them to function as self-contained entities with logic and state. Each OpenChat user is assigned a dedicated canister that houses their personal chat data and connections to groups and communities. This approach ensures data privacy and ownership and improves the platform's scalability. Open chat groups and communities are also implemented as separate canisters. This design contributes to the application's scalability and resilience. Subnets, composed of numerous canisters, enable OpenChat to process many transactions efficiently and independently. By distributing computation across a globally distributed network of nodes, OpenChat can achieve a level of scalability that traditional centralized applications struggle to match. This is fascinating. So, empowering conversations in groups, fine-tuned control with permissions, discover and engage finding groups. OpenChat makes discovering new groups and communities that align with your interests simple. The What's Hot menu option directs you to popular groups, providing opportunities for connection and engagements. Customize your space, user profile, heart of interaction, sending messages. Effortless exploration search. The OpenChat DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, is an institution that operates on principles of collective decision-making. In this group, I think we know what that means. OpenChat will soon be governed by an OpenChat DAO with a native chat token and analogous to the ICP token. So it'll have its own token, its own DAO. How will the DAO work? At the heart of the OpenChat DAO's governance model is integrating with the network nervous system, a vital feature of the Internet Computer Blockchain. The NNS is an open algorithmic governance system that oversees the network and its token economics. The OpenChat DAO will use a service nervous system to orchestrate its governance. The SNS is analogous to the NNS, but tailored to the needs of individual applications like OpenChat. Okay, so it'll function basically like ICP, but with its own kind of separate system. Voting in the OpenChat DAO is a dynamic process driven by reputation. Neurons, analogous to ICP neurons, can be staked to participate in voting on proposals. The longer a neuron's delay, the higher its voting power and corresponding rewards. By staking chat tokens in neurons, participants align themselves with the long-term success of OpenChat, contributing to a decentralized decision-making process. Wow. So there's going to be an OpenChat wallet. There's a lot going on here. If you guys are interested in that, definitely go take a look. That's fascinating. Hello, Mero user D22F9, crypto offer. It's an interesting name. Mero user, saw you already. Actor Likan and Kajdahi. Nice to have you with us. Hi, Binance user 2561. Nice to have you with us as well. Let's see. Drake back to crypto casino hit with lawsuit. The ambitious plans of Stake to expand nationwide are now facing a challenge from a Sydney-based share trading platform with the same name. The share trading platform initiated a lawsuit in the federal court last week, aiming to prevent the crypto casino from utilizing the Stake brand within Australia. The legal challenge comes from a share trading platform with the same name, alleging confusion and misrepresentation. They're both in financial related terms. So they'll probably have to change their name. That shouldn't be as big a deal. They should probably reach something outside of court. Shibarium Network resumes operations, a deep dive into the recent halt. We talked about that already. China's Xi Jinping headed for the BRICS summit in South Africa. That'll be the 22nd, so he's going to leave. If he's leaving now, he's leaving just a little bit early, but not much. Let's see, do we have any news since? Let's take a look at CoinMarketCap real quickly. So Bitcoin is at $26,043.77. It dropped off a cliff yesterday. Ethereum is it dropped 8%, over 8% in the last 24 hours, nearly 12% in the last 7 days. And all of that was in the last 30 hours. Ethereum dropped 6% in the last 24 hours. It's at $1,667.57. BNB is at $216.99 as of right now, down 5.23% in the last 24 hours. XRP is at 50 cents .49, so much lower than the .88 it was at when the court case seemed over and done with. Cardano is at 26 cents .47, down 3.14% over the last 24 hours, down 10.63% over the last 7 days. Sol from Solana is down to $21.92. Dogecoin is at 6 cents, much lower than it was before. It was closer to 7 cents last time I checked. Tron is at 7 cents .306, down 2.52% over the last 24 hours. Polkadot's DOT is at $4.51. Matic on Polygon is at 57 cents .16. Shiba Inu is not going down as much. SHIB isn't going down as much as it was. It went down 17.42% over the last week. It's going down 1.02% in the last 24 hours. Litecoin down 13.33% in the last 24 hours. Let's look at the biggest winners in the last 24 hours. We have INJ from Injective at 8.26% up, $7.65. Optimism up 0.7% to 1.43. XDC up 0.57%, but down 7.74% last hour, so that kind of cancels that out. Tether Gold up 0.19% to $1,901.97. And BUSD, well, that's, it's at $1. For some reason, it went up. Okay, so the ups are so low that the stable coins are the ones that show up after 1, 2, 3, 4. So 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. The next, so out of the top 11, 6 are stable coins, just repegging as they do to be as close to $1 as possible. That's how bad the market is right now. What is our let's see who's doing the worst in the last 24 hours. Conflux CFX is down 17.95% to 12 cents. Say is down 13.73% to 15 cents. AR from Arweave is down to $4.37, down 13.54%. Litecoin down 13.27% to $64.58. XRP's been hit badly. We talked about that. Ape down 12.29% to $1.57. It's just a general crash right now with everything kind of going down, as you can see. So if I just keep scrolling, I'm still above 5%, just still scrolling. Let's see, there's the cake from Pancake Swap is at $1.33. Monero's at $142.61. Aave is at $55.98. Doge is at 6 cents 29. I think I talked about that already. Fobi is at $2.35. Ton is at $1.33. BNB is at $214.42. $217.42. But yes, everything is looking pretty bad right now on here. So that's kind of fascinating. What is our fear and okay? This is a fear and greed index of 37. So we're definitely in the fear right now. 100%, not 100%. Sorry, 37 is the fear and greed index indication right now. So it's a pretty bad market right now. We're looking at more interest rate hikes, and we're looking at the Chinese economy falling apart. And I think this is why we're seeing what we're seeing. So thank you guys for joining. Hi Chinooka1, WeSam 993, Mero user D22F9, Devil Rack, Binance user 2561. Nice to have you guys it was nice for you guys to join us. Thank you to all 3,600 of you for jumping on, taking a look today. Remember to like the video. That's very nice for me, but also nice for the RJ DeLong that we had as a guest today. And also subscribe so you get notifications when we go live again with more guests, more daily crypto news, and also maybe some gamify videos where we test some games, or videos where we test some crypto related projects or AI related projects. Thank you guys a lot for being here. It means a lot. Have a great day. Bye. Have a great weekend as well.